Jaimunji here. Welcome to Tier List Tuesdays. Yes, it's a corny name, but I did it to make sure I release something every Tuesday in regards to this. Now, this might span out from just doing albums in order, but for now, it's going to be albums. And I thought, which metal band do I start ranking albums with? And I thought, why haven't I done Metallica? I have done some of these tier list videos in the past, but it's been random and far and few in between. That's all changing. So yes, we're going to start with, ironically, probably the biggest metal band to ever exist. Not the first, I'm not saying that, but the biggest to ever exist. And I've got some opinions on it that I don't know if you guys are going to like. But with that, let's get to it. Alright, you beautiful people, do you already have all yours in order? I'm curious. Now, this isn't from worst to best, this is going in a tier. S to D. And I've got a feeling we're going to put something in every single one of those categories today, because Metallica, as great as they are, and like everyone else, they were the band that got me into metal. They've released some, let's just say, not so fantastic albums to go along with some of the best albums ever written. So it's interesting they've been able to fluctuate that way. But we'll start with the debut album, Kill 'Em All. Now, I'm only doing studio albums. I'm not doing like the cover albums, live albums, anything like that, because we'd be here for hours. But Kill 'Em All. This is one I find I've been going back to a lot more recently over the last couple of years. When I was growing up, Kill 'Em All was a bit of an afterthought to me. But now, honestly, it's one of my favorite albums. I think Four Horsemen, Seek and Destroy, Whiplash, there's so many good ones on this one. What a debut album. I think it's easily... Now, I'm ranking Metallica against themselves, guys. Otherwise, I could chuck a lot more of these up in the S tier if I was comparing them to other metal bands. So it's against themselves. So, with that, I reckon one of the best debut albums of all time, Kill 'Em All. Easily an A tier. These might chop and change by the time I get to the end. So just because I've put it there now doesn't mean it's going to stay there. But here we go, and here's my opinion. We're getting to some of these opinions early. On other videos I'm going to do like this, I find that I like a lot more of bands' newer stuff, like Whitechapel, for example. I love their new stuff. But with Metallica, I'm definitely that old school gatekeeper thrash head when it comes to them. A little bit. We'll see once we get to the 90s. But Ride the Lightning, easily my favorite album by them. I think start to finish, it is the best album they've ever done. I understand why people say Master of Puppets, and the song Master of Puppets itself is incredible, iconic, probably the most iconic riff of all time outside of maybe Iron Man by Black Sabbath. But for me, start to finish, Creeping Death, Fight Fire with Fire, Trapped Under Ice, Fade to Black, it's just too good of an album for me. It does everything I want Metallica to do for a thrash song, really. So Ride the Lightning is easily S tier. And I know this is going to be boring, but so is Master of Puppets at the end of the day. Everyone would probably agree that Master of Puppets is the album, the Metallica album. To me, it's almost the Metallica album. Ride the Lightning, though, in saying that, if I was trying to get a casual into Metallica's older stuff, trying to get them into the thrash, probably go Master of Puppets. It's just that little bit more polished when it comes to production, so it does sound a bit better to the ear, especially if you're trying to get into a band for the first time. You always kind of want to show them something that's, a bit more polished up. Not to say Ride the Lightning isn't polished, but it feels a little bit more raw than Master of Puppets, and Master of Puppets just nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. Now, sorry in advance, and Justice for All. I really do love this album, but I do prefer to hear these songs live. I think the Injustice for All Deluxe Edition, where it's got a bunch of the songs live on it, is much better because Jason Newsted's bass shines through. This album, I keep going back to it and I'm a big bass fan. I don't play an instrument myself, I'm a vocalist, but I'm a big fan of bass. I think it's an underrated instrument. I don't think it gets enough love, and it definitely did not get enough fucking love on this album. In saying that, songs like One, Dry as Eve, Black, and some of the best Metallica songs they've ever written, but I'm going to penalise them for muting that bass because it does sound a bit empty at the end of the day. Live, not at all. Live, it sounds incredible, but studio-wise, I think people hype this one up just a little too much for my liking. So, I hate to do it to you. It's an A tier. I wasn't going to go B tier, of course. It's still a brilliant album, and if they fix the bass, yeah, it'd be an S tier. I still think it'd be behind Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets. I don't know if I like it more than Kill 'Em All, so I'm just going to sit it there for now, and I'll reevaluate this at the end. I'm not sure. I really, really like Kill 'Em All the older I get. I don't know what that's saying about me. But let's move into the 90s. This is the album that got me into Metallica. So instantly it's going to hold a bit more of a special place. I know this, a lot of people think Metallica after Injustice for All, boom, doesn't count anymore. Well, they released a lot of fucking albums after Injustice for All, so you're going to have to deal with it. But this is the biggest selling metal album of all time. This, ideally, Metallica could have never released another album, which, like I said, a lot of people would probably be happy with. And they could just be touring off the success of this. Enter Sandman, one of the best riffs of all time, whether you like it or not. Big change on this album because they moved away from the thrash roots into like this big. Well, they moved into a stadium sound. When you're filling out stadiums, I've heard many artists talk about it for a long time. That the songs can't be as fast. You need to slow them down a bit. You need these big riffs, like Sad But True. That just echoes for stadiums. It's just one of those things, and I think that's where they took the writing. But production-wise, this is the best sounding Metallica album. I think they really nailed it on the head on this one. And I truly do think it's an A-tier album at the end of the day. I know a lot of people go, oh, it sucks. That's when they sold out. I don't care. That might be true. Maybe they did. But at the end of the day, this is what gets a lot of people into metal. It is a good album, especially if this is the first Metallica album you listen to and then you go back and forth and listen to other stuff. You had nothing to judge it on. You just listen to it, and that's why it's still the number one seller, man. I think it's an A. I don't think it's better than the other two albums here. Enter Sandman, it's been overplayed, of course. But every time you hear that song live, man, you can't help but get into it. So it's got to be an A tier. This is where I'm not going to be so... Well, I feel like I'm following the masses here and going, oh, well, the next albums to come aren't as good. But I've got varying opinions on the next couple of albums. Starting with Load. I liked Load a lot when I was younger. It's fallen by the wayside a bit for me now because I go back and listen to it and going, oh, they were really just trying to follow trends to an extent here. But, you know, Load had Hero of the Day on it, like Mama, the country song, I can't remember what it's called. The Outlaw Torn, I'm pretty sure that was all on Load. I often get Load and Reload mistaken, so I'm just going to pull up the track listing real quickly here. Helped if I spelled Load and not Lord. So you go Load. Yeah, we've got King Nothing on it. That's a good song. Hero of the Day. Mama Said, that was the one I'm thinking. The Outlaw Torn. Ain't My Bitch, I actually like. Got a bit of attitude to it. I think it's a good album. I don't think it's great, but I think it's good. But this is where I can understand people getting shits from Metallica because they really changed. If you thought the Black Album was bad, Load was worse. But going to Reload now, because I've confused myself, I'm going to bring up the track listing to Reload real quickly. As a teenager, though, love these albums. I really love these albums. I like these albums when I was a teenager more than I like Kill 'Em All. Even Ride the Lightning to an extent, but, you know, I kind of work up to myself at the end of the day. But what do we got on here? Fuel, awesome song. The Memory Remains, I really like that song. Unforgiven 2, that's my favourite of all the Unforgivens. It's just James's voice on that one in particular just sounds really good. Then, to me, yeah, it falls, man. Like, if I was to go past those first 4 songs, Devil's Dance, I can't actually remember really how any of them go. So if you put Fuel, The Memory Remains, and The Unforgiven 2, and took off some of the, you know, weaker ones off Load could have been a really solid album, and Reload wouldn't have been needed. But besides me hyping up The Unforgiven and Fuel, C, because this really was kind of like, there's 3 good songs on this album. The rest is throwaway. And that's why it's called Reload. I think they were the leftover tracks on Load, but they polished some of them up. So yeah, I think Reload really suffers because of that. Now we get to the fun one. Saint Anger. Saint Anger was the new album that came out when I first got into Metallica. So what was that, like 2003? Around that time, 2001 even. I remember Some Kind of Monster came out. I bought the documentary. That's when I got fascinated with Metallica. Because I got into Metallica when I watched ECW's One Night Stand and The Sandman came out to Enter Sandman. I was instantly hooked. Like, that's what took me down the road of metal. Got to thank wrestling for that. Wrestling, I think, led a lot of people down the road to heavy metal back in the day because there were always some banger tracks. Even, and I'll say it, I was heavily into Creed because of wrestling, and Creed, you know, some songs had some big riffs on it, and I think that was like the icebreaker to for me to accept all this other stuff. But Saint Anger, I liked it when I first heard it because I didn't know any better. Over the years, I've gone, oh, he sings out of key in some points. We all know that famous snare. But my opinion on the snare is, now that I've gone back and listened to it again leading up to this video, it's good. I like the snare in certain parts. But But when he's like doing the Saint Anger and it just pong, pong, takes me out of it, instantly snaps out. But when it's during the fast bit, I actually think it fits. I think it did what they wanted it to do, but unfortunately with the album, there's a lot of points where that snare doesn't fit. He almost needed two snares. A snare, his normal snare, and then one for the fast parts. But I don't think Saint Anger's as horrible as everyone makes it out to be. I don't truly think it's a D tier album. I like the song Saint Anger. I like the song Frantic. Some Kind of Monster is good. I just wish it wasn't like 8 minutes long. I think it's a fun album for what they were trying to do, but yeah, the singing out of key part, some of the songs just doesn't do it for me, and I haven't named enough songs off it. I think Frantic is a fantastic song, and I'm glad they do still play that live, and I like the title track Saint Anger. Yeah, after that, maybe it will be a D tier. I hate to be that guy. I hate to be like, oh, it's the worst. It is the worst album, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's as bad as everyone says it is. And like I said, I think the snare suits in some parts of some songs, but definitely not the whole song on any of them. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Now, Death Magnetic. This came out in my last year of high school. I remember getting really, really hyped up for it with an old friend of mine, Dane. We were pumped for this to come out. Absolutely pumped. Now, I sit here going, oh, what songs were on this one again? I remember All Nightmare Long was on it. And I still think that is one of the better songs Metallica have written in the last 30 years. I truly do. What else was on it? That Was Just Your Life was fine. The Day That Never Comes was pretty cool. The music video is cool too. Unforgiven 3, Cyanide was alright. The Judas Kiss. The album does fall a bit flat at the end of the day, but coming off Reload and Saint Anger, I think it did a lot better of a job. I still think to see. There's something about the production quality. I don't understand how Metallica can be so big, yet have so many production quality mistakes. Is it that people are afraid to tell them no? I think that's what it must be. But I think it's a C-tier album. I think it's better than Reload. I do not think it is better than Load. All Nightmare Long fucking slaps though. I put that in my Metallica playlist. I've got a Metallica playlist of like 30 songs, and that one's in there. So it's in my top 30 songs of Metallica at the end of the day. I think it's really cool. And now we're moving down to, and I shouldn't have done that, sorry. Can't help myself. We're moving down to, what was it called? Hardwired to Self-Destruct. This was a good album. I don't know if it necessarily needed to span across 2 discs. Let me just bring it back up again. Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Not the old Culture song. Yeah, Hardwired. Oh, the album's just called. Oh yeah, Hardwired to Self-Destruct Deluxe. The deluxe version was cool because I liked a lot of the like Horseman and Hit the Lights and all that. Ride the Lightning, the live versions of those. So that was cool. But looking at this, I like Hardwired. It's basic. Moth Into a Flame is brilliant. I think that's a brilliant song. Am I Savage was good. Spit Out the Bones, a fantastic song as well. I'm just kind of going through it now, now that we're dead. There's some good songs on this. I do think maybe they could have trimmed the fat a little bit and just turned this into a 1-disc album, because what have we got? We've got 12 songs. Probably could have got away with 9, and it would have ranked a bit higher. But this is definitely better than Death Magnetic. It's definitely better than Reload. I put it up there with Load. Load, I feel, is starting to get that nostalgia factor to an extent. And because the SMN came out, the Symphony Orchestra one, God, I can't say that word. Hero of the Day live with the orchestra and the Outlaw Torn. I think that that's affecting my love of that album a little bit. But I think Hardwired Self-Destruct's a good album. I think if Metallica ended on that album, I'm spitting on myself now, people would have been happy. I think it was good. Moth to a Flame's a bloody good song at the end of the day. And yeah, I pair it, like, I probably don't go back and listen to it as much as I do some of the songs on Load. But yeah, Spit Out the Bone and Moth to a Flame, yeah. And Now That We're Dead, that's a good song. But now we're getting to the very end. And I feel like I'm talking a mile a minute doing this video, and it's because I don't want you guys to have to stick around for too long, because we don't want these to go for too long at the end of the day. But 72 Seasons, I described it to my friend Cooper's very much disdain as, oh yeah, it's barbecue Metallica. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, it's dad rock Metallica. And it is. It's the songs they were into when they were younger, leading up to, you know, being musicians themselves. Lux Eterna, it's a fun song. I think this is a fun album. It's very easy to put on. Like I said, if you're having a barbecue and this is on in the background, yeah, people are going to be like, oh yeah, it's Metallica. But it's not, nothing's going to grab your attention where, you know, people are headbanging out or singing along and being destructive. But it's a good soundtrack to a Sunday barbecue day. You got a couple of beers, you got some snags on the barbie. It's a good time. It's a good time. I think the album's good. I don't think it's great. I don't go and listen to it a lot, if at all, really. I think Lars is drumming on this in particular. I know we can all give shit to Lars, but that's not what it's about. He's very basic. I feel like every song's just the standard and do 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 do, and then into the chorus. I feel it's really slack. I don't know if he kept up, and you know, if Dave Lombardo was the drummer for Metallica, if stuff would have sounded a bit different. But I think Lars is the right drummer for Metallica. I just feel they're millionaires, man. At the end of the day, I feel he's gotten lazy. But I think it's a decent album. I think it's better than Death Magnetic. It's weird. I liked Death Magnetic when it came out, and I'm looking at this list going, geez, I've ranked it low. And I thought 72 Seasons was going to be below it, but like I said, when you're listening to the vibe, I feel 72 Seasons has a decent vibe. No song matches All Nightmare Long, for sure. But the production quality on this album is a lot better too. That's got to take points away, because Death Magnetic almost sounds like they mixed everything too high because there's distortion to it. I don't know what it is. Like I said, I don't know how they dropped the ball on several albums when it came to these sounds. I think people are just afraid to tell them no. All right, well, we're at the end here. Would I move anything around? Probably not. Like, I'm debating moving Kill 'Em All up into S tier. Kill 'Em All is A+. And I think Injustice for All is A+. And I think the Black Album is A. To give you that idea. If, like I said, if Injustice for All, just have that bass coming through. I think the Guitar Hero versions of those songs sounded better because they did up the bass, because you could choose to play the bass guitar. And if you chose to play the bass guitar along with those songs, it was louder anyway. So it sounded fucking great when the bass turned up. But, you know, you got to pay for your sins at the end of the day, and I feel that's where they belong. So I'm pretty happy with this. Like I said, this might be a lot of people's. Some people might be like, you know, those first 4 albums are S tier and everything else is C and D tier. And that's fine. I'm comparing Metallica to themselves, and I could have been harsher. I probably could have chucked more down in C. I don't know. I feel this sums up how I enjoy Metallica at the end of the day. If I was going to make a playlist with like 3 songs from each album, I don't know, I'd go Fade to Black, Creeping Death, Trapped Under Ice. I'd go Sanitarium. No, I wouldn't. I'd go Master of Puppets, Battery, Damage Inc., maybe Sanitarium, Kill 'Em All, Four Horsemen, Hit the Lights, Whiplash, the live version of Whiplash as well, Injustice, Black and Dry as Eve, 1, Metallica, Enter Sandman, Holier Than Thou. I could say Nothing Else Matters, but I'm kind of over that song, guys. I really am. So I don't know. Oh, Wolf of Man. I really like that song. I'm going to stop it there. You guys don't care about the rest. Load, Hero of the Day, Mama Said, Outlaw Torn, and we'll stop it there. That'll do. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Like I said, Tier List Tuesdays. We're going to try and do these more often. So if you like it, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell to get notified. Tell me your order down below. You can do it S tier to D tier, or you can put them in order from worst to best. Up to you guys. I'm curious to hear what everyone else says. But that'll be all for me today. Until next time, I've been Jaimunji. And you all have a bloody good one.